The stars were quiet that night. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of her ship, the Times UHS Defiance *, and watched the endless darkness of space through the main window. She had been a captain for 15 years. She had seen many things in those years, but she had never seen anything like what was about to happen. The Times Defiance was a warship. It was not the biggest ship in the human fleet. It was not the strongest. But it was fast and tough, and Captain Chen loved it like a second home. Her crew of 300 men and women trusted her with their lives. She never forgot that trust. "Captain," said Lieutenant Park, her communications officer. He was a young man with nervous eyes. "We are receiving a transmission. It is coming from deep space, very far away." Chen turned from the window. "From who?" "The signal matches Xyrathi codes, Captain." The bridge went silent. Every officer stopped what they were doing. The Xyrathi. Everyone knew that name. The Galactic Empire controlled most of the galaxy. They had conquered 300 different species over thousands of years. No one had ever defeated them. No one had ever even tried. Humanity had only been traveling among the stars for 200 years. They had built colonies on 40 worlds. They had a fleet of about 100,000 ships. It was nothing compared to the Xyrathi, who had millions of ships and controlled thousands of planets. "Put it on the main screen," Chen ordered. The screen flickered. Then a face appeared. It was not a human face. The Xyrathi Imperator was a massive creature, almost 12 feet tall. His skin was covered in scales that looked like blue crystal. His eyes were yellow and cold, like the eyes of a snake. "Humans," the Imperator said. "I am High Imperator Xyrax, the Eternal. I speak for the Galactic Empire. I speak for the one true power in this universe." Chen watched the screen with a calm face. She did not show any fear. "Your species is young," Xyrax continued. "You have spread to a few small worlds at the edge of our territory. We have watched you. We have studied you. And now, we have made our decision." The Imperator leaned forward. His yellow eyes seemed to look directly at Chen. "You have 20 rotations to surrender. You will give us your colonies. You will give us your fleet. You will give us your homeworld. Your people will serve the Empire as workers and slaves. This is not a request. This is not a negotiation. This is your only choice." Chen felt her crew looking at her. She could feel their fear. The Xyrathi had never lost a war. Species that refused to surrender were destroyed completely, erased from history, forgotten. "If you do not surrender," Xyrax said, "we will come to your worlds. We will burn your cities. We will kill your soldiers. And when we are finished, no one in the galaxy will remember that humans ever existed. You will be nothing. Less than nothing. Just dust and silence." The Imperator smiled. It was a cruel smile. 20 rotations. Choose wisely." The screen went black. For a long moment, no one on the bridge spoke. Chen could hear her own heartbeat. She could hear the soft hum of the ship's engines. She thought about Earth. She thought about her mother's house in the mountains of China, where she had grown up. She thought about the billions of humans living their lives, not knowing that an empire of monsters had just threatened to destroy them all. Then Captain Sarah Chen did something unexpected. She laughed. It was not a scared laugh. It was not a crazy laugh. It was a real laugh, full of genuine amusement. Her crew stared at her like she had lost her mind. "Captain?" Lieutenant Park asked carefully. Are you all right?" Chen wiped a tear from her eye. She was still smiling. "That big lizard has no idea what he just did." "What do you mean, Captain?" Chen turned to face her crew. Her eyes were bright and fierce. "The Xyrathi have conquered 300 species. Do you know how they did it? They attacked peaceful civilizations. Scientists, farmers, traders, species that had never known war." She walked to the center of the bridge. Her voice grew stronger. "But humans are different. We have been fighting since the beginning of our history. We fought each other for thousands of years before we even reached the stars. War is in our blood. It is in our bones. We are not peaceful farmers who will bow down and accept slavery. Lieutenant Park swallowed hard. But Captain, they have millions of ships. We have something they have never faced before, Chen interrupted. We have the will to fight. The will to die standing rather than live on our knees. She smiled again. Get me a secure channel to Earth. I need to speak with Admiral Webb. Tell him the lizards finally found their courage. And they are going to regret it. Far away, on Earth, Admiral Marcus Webb received Chen's message. He was an old man with gray hair and a face that looked like it was carved from stone. He had fought in 3 wars. He had lost friends and family. He had seen the worst that humanity could do to itself. But he had never stopped believing in his species. When he heard the Zirathi ultimatum, he did not panic. He did not cry. He simply nodded slowly, like a man who had been expecting bad news and finally received it. So, he said quietly, they finally came. His aide, a young officer named Torres, looked worried. Sir, what do we do? Should we contact them? Try to negotiate? Webb stood up from his chair. He walked to the window of his office and looked out at the blue sky of Earth. Somewhere, up there, beyond the clouds, beyond the atmosphere, an empire of monsters was waiting to destroy everything he loved. No negotiations, Webb said. You cannot negotiate with a wolf that wants to eat you. But sir, the odds do not matter. Webb turned around. His eyes were hard as steel. I have studied history, Torres. Every great victory in human history came when the odds were against us. We have always been at our best when our backs are against the wall. When surrender means death, humans do not surrender. We fight, and we win. He sat back down and began typing on his computer. Send a message to every ship in the fleet. Tell them to prepare for war. And send a response to the Zirathi. Torres waited nervously. What should the response say? Sir, Admiral Webb smiled. It was the smile of a wolf, showing its teeth. Tell them this. Humanity does not kneel. Come and try. The message was sent. Across human space, men and women read those words, and something woke up inside them. Something old and fierce and unbreakable. The Zirathi Empire had made a terrible mistake. They had threatened the wrong species. 3 days had passed since the Zirathi ultimatum. Admiral Marcus Webb walked through the long marble hallways of the United Human Command building in Geneva. His boots made sharp sounds on the floor. His face showed no emotion, but inside his chest, his heart was beating fast. Today would decide the future of humanity. The council chamber was a massive room with a high ceiling. Tall windows let in golden sunlight. Around a long table sat the most powerful people in human civilization. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, scientists, business leaders. They all looked at Webb as he entered. Admiral Webb, said President Morrison, the leader of the United Earth Council. She was a tall woman, with silver hair and worried eyes. Thank you for coming. Please, sit. Webb remained standing. I prefer to stand, Madam President. What I have to say will not take long. The room was tense. Everyone could feel it. Fear hung in the air like a thick fog. We have all seen the Zirathi message, said Chancellor Hoffman, the representative from the European Federation. He was a fat man who was sweating heavily. We have all heard their demands. What options? Asked General Okonkwo. From the African Union. She was a strong woman, with sharp eyes. The Zirathi do not offer options. They offer slavery or death. But perhaps, said Ambassador Tanaka from the Asian Coalition, perhaps we can negotiate. Find some middle ground. Offer them something they want. Trade, resources, Technology. Webb listened to them argue. He watched these powerful people, these leaders of humanity, talking about surrender like it was a reasonable choice. His hands tightened into fists behind his back. "They have 2 million warships," said Chancellor Hoffman. "We have 100,000. The mathematics are simple. We cannot win. So we should just give up?" General Okonkwo asked angrily. "Hand over our children to be slaves? Watch our cities burn? Better some survive as slaves than all die as corpses," Hoffman replied. The room exploded into shouting. Everyone was talking at once. Some demanded surrender. Others demanded war. President Morrison tried to restore order. But no one was listening. Then Admiral Webb spoke. His voice was not loud, but it cut through the noise like a knife. "Enough!" Everyone stopped. They all turned to look at the old admiral. "I have listened to enough foolishness," Webb said. He pressed a button, and a three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared in the air above them. Most of the map was red. Zyrathi territory. Thousands of stars, thousands of conquered worlds, and in one small corner, a tiny cluster of blue dots. Human space. Earth and her 40 colonies. "Look at this map," Webb said. "This is what the Zyrathi have built over 10,000 years. They have crushed 300 species, killed trillions of beings, erased entire civilizations from history." He paused. "Do you know how they did it?" No one answered. "They did it because no one ever fought back." Webb's eyes moved around the room, meeting each person's gaze. "I have studied every Zyrathi conquest, every single one. And do you know what I found? The Zyrathi have never faced a real war. Not once. Every species they conquered surrendered immediately, or was destroyed before they could organize a defense." He pressed another button. Images appeared on the screen. Alien cities burning. Bodies lying in streets. Ships exploding in space. The Veloxi surrendered in 3 days. The Zyrathi killed half of them anyway, just to show their power. The Krothani tried to negotiate. They offered everything they had. The Zyrathi took it all, and then destroyed their homeworld, just for fun. Webb's voice grew harder. The Sylvani begged for mercy. They got on their knees, and cried, and pleaded. The Zyrathi laughed and burned their children alive. The room was silent now. Even Chancellor Hoffman had stopped sweating. His face was pale. "There is no negotiation," Webb said. "There is no surrender. There is no middle ground. The Zyrathi do not want our resources. They do not want our technology. They want us to kneel. They want us to break. And when we are broken, they will destroy us anyway, because that is what they do. That is all they know." President Morrison spoke softly. "Then what do you suggest, Admiral?" "What can we do?" Webb smiled. It was a cold smile. But there was fire behind it. "Who said we cannot win?" He changed the display again. Now it showed Captain Sarah Chen's report from the border regions. Detailed analysis of Zyrathi ships, their weapons, their tactics, their weaknesses. "The Zyrathi are powerful," Webb admitted. "But they are also arrogant. They have never faced an enemy that fights back. Their tactics are simple, because simple tactics have always worked. Their soldiers are not trained for real combat, because they have never needed real combat training." He pointed at the screen. "Their ships are big and heavily armed, but they are slow. Our ships are smaller but faster. Their commanders follow orders without question, but they cannot think for themselves. Our captains are trained to adapt, to improvise, to find creative solutions." General Okonkwo leaned forward with interest. "I think we can hurt them," Webb said. "I think we can make them bleed. I think we can make this conquest so painful and so costly that they will never forget the name of humanity." He looked around the room one more time. "Maybe we will lose. Maybe we will all die. And I believe every human being, in their heart, feels the same way." The silence stretched on. Then, Slowly, General Okonkwo stood up. "I stand with the Admiral." One by one, others rose. Military leaders, some presidents, even a few of the diplomats who had argued for surrender. President Morrison was the last to stand. She looked tired, but there was a new light in her eyes. "Very well, Admiral Webb. You have your war. What do you need?" "Everything," Webb said. "Every ship, every soldier, every factory working day and night. And most importantly, I need time. The Xyrathi gave us 20 rotations. That is 20 days. In 20 days, we need to be ready to show them what humans are made of." Frest. The orders went out that night. Across human space, factories that had been making civilian goods switched to military production. Ships that had been patrolling trade routes were called back to Earth. Men and women who had never held a weapon in their lives signed up to fight. And in her quarters aboard the Times Defiance Asterisk, Captain Sarah Chen received new orders. She read them twice to make sure she understood. Then she smiled. Finally, she said to herself, time to hunt some lizards. Her mission was simple, but dangerous. She would take a small fleet to the Kepler Nebula, a region of unstable space filled with radiation and dying stars. There, she would prepare a trap. When the Xyrathi vanguard came, expecting scared humans running for their lives, they would find something very different. They would find Captain Chen waiting for them, and she was not afraid. The Kepler Nebula was one of the most dangerous places in the galaxy. It was a massive cloud of gas and dust, filled with dying stars and deadly radiation. The light from exploding suns painted the darkness in colors of red and orange and purple. It was beautiful. It was also deadly. Most ships avoided the nebula. The radiation could kill a crew in hours. The gravity from unstable stars could tear a ship apart. Only fools or desperate people entered the Kepler Nebula. Captain Sarah Chen was neither a fool nor desperate. She was something more dangerous. She was prepared. Her fleet of 50 ships had entered the nebula 5 days ago. For 5 days, they had been working without rest. They had placed thousands of special mines throughout the nebula. These were not ordinary mines. They were singularity devices. Weapons that could create small black holes for a few seconds. Enough time to destroy anything nearby. They had also found hiding spots within the radiation clouds. Human ships were built differently than other species' ships. Humans came from Earth, a planet that tried to kill them every day, with earthquakes, volcanoes, storms, and diseases. Human technology was built to survive the worst conditions. Their ships could handle radiation levels that would destroy Xyrathi vessels. Now the trap was set, and Captain Chen waited. "Captain," said Lieutenant Park, looking at his scanner. Chen walked to his station and looked at the screen. Her eyes widened slightly. "How many ships?" 50,000, Captain. It is the Xyrathi vanguard. 50,000 ships. Chen had 50. The odds were 1,000 to 1. Any normal commander would retreat. Any sane person would run. Chen smiled. Perfect. They brought enough ships to make this interesting. Her crew looked at her like she was crazy. Maybe she was. But there was a reason Admiral Webb had chosen her for this mission. Sarah Chen did not know how to be afraid. She only knew how to fight. "All ships, hold position," she ordered through the fleet communication channel. The Xyrathi fleet moved deeper into the nebula. Their ships were massive, each one bigger than 10 human vessels combined. Their hulls were covered in weapons. Their commanders were confident. They had received reports that a small human fleet was in the nebula. They expected to find scared prey trying to hide. The Xyrathi fleet commander, a tall creature named Admiral Krithos, stood on the bridge of his flagship. He was bored. This was not a real battle. This was pest control. Humans were insects. Crushing them would take no effort at all. "Scan for human vessels," he ordered. "We detect one ship, Admiral," his officer reported. "It is alone in the center of the nebula. Not moving, Krithos laughed. One ship? They send one ship against 50,000? Humans are even more stupid than we thought. Destroy it. But before his weapons could fire, a message came through. A human face appeared on his screen. A woman with dark hair and calm eyes. Hello, Admiral, Captain Chen said. Welcome to Kepler's Gate. I hope you enjoy your stay. It will be short, Krithos hissed with anger. Foolish human. You are alone against an armada. Surrender now, and I might kill you quickly, Chen laughed. Surrender? Admiral, you misunderstand the situation. I am not trapped here with you. Her smile grew wider. You are trapped here with me. She cut the communication and gave the order. All ships, activate the mines. Now, across the nebula, thousands of singularity mines came to life. Space itself began to scream. Tiny black holes appeared everywhere, pulling Zirathi ships toward them with unstoppable force. Vessels that had conquered hundreds of worlds were crushed like paper in a giant's fist. Admiral Krithos watched in horror as his fleet began to die. Ships disappeared by the dozen. Hundreds. Thousands. The black holes lasted only seconds each. But those seconds were enough. What is happening? He screamed. How is this possible? Admiral, his officer shouted. More human ships. All around the Zirathi fleet, human vessels emerged from their hiding spots. Places where no ship should be able to survive. The radiation should have killed their crews. But humans had spent centuries building technology to survive impossible conditions. What was deadly to other species was merely uncomfortable to them. The human ships attacked with perfect coordination. They were small and fast, dancing between the larger Zirathi vessels. They targeted engines, weapons, command bridges. They did not try to destroy the enemy ships completely. They just crippled them, leaving them helpless. Captain Chen flew her ship directly into the heart of the enemy fleet. The Times. Defiance Times moved like a predator, striking and retreating, never staying in one place long enough to be hit. Her crew worked like a single machine, every person knowing exactly what to do. Enemy ship on our left, Lieutenant Park shouted. I see it, Chen replied calmly. Helm, bring us around. Weapons, target their bridge. Fire. The Times Defiance Asterisk's guns roared. The enemy ship's bridge exploded. Without commanders, the vessel drifted helplessly. The battle lasted 3 hours. 3 hours of fire and death and chaos. When it was over, the Kepler Nebula was filled with the wreckage of Zirathi ships. 12,000 enemy vessels destroyed. Another 15,000 crippled beyond repair. Human losses, 12 ships. Admiral Krithos's flagship was badly damaged but still functional. He had escaped the worst of the trap by pure luck. Now he fled from the nebula, his remaining ships following in disorder. Captain Chen watched him go. She did not pursue. That was not part of the plan. Should we chase them, Captain? Asked her weapons officer. No, Chen said. Let them run. Let them tell their Imperator what happened here. Let them spread fear. She opened a channel to Admiral Webb back on Earth. Admiral, this is Captain Chen. The trap was successful. Enemy vanguard destroyed. Minimal human losses. The road to Earth is clear. But they will send more. Webb's voice came back, filled with pride. Excellent work, Captain. You have bought us time and shown the galaxy that the Zirathi can bleed. Return to Earth. The real battle is coming. Chen nodded and closed the channel. She looked around at her tired but proud crew. They had done the impossible. 50 ships against 50,000. And they had won. But she knew this was only the beginning. Admiral Krithos would report his failure. The Zirathi Imperator would be furious. He would not send another vanguard. He would bring the entire Grand Armada, 500,000 ships or more. The next battle would be at Earth itself, and it would decide the fate of humanity forever. Chen sat back in her captain's chair and closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about home. She thought about her mother's garden, the smell of flowers in spring, the sound of birds singing in the morning. She would protect that world. She would fight for it until her last breath. Set course for Earth, she ordered. Maximum speed. We have a war to win. The Defiance Times turned toward home, and Captain Sarah Chen prepared for the greatest battle humanity had ever faced. The news of Kepler's Gate spread across the galaxy like fire. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Empire had lost a battle. 12,000 ships destroyed by a force that was 1,000 times smaller. It seemed impossible. It seemed like a miracle. On conquered worlds everywhere, slaves whispered the story to each other in the darkness. Humans, a young species. They had fought back. They had won. But High Imperator Xyrax was not impressed. He was furious. He stood in the great throne room of his palace, surrounded by his admirals and generals. The body of Admiral Krythos lay at his feet. Krythos had returned from Kepler's Gate, expecting punishment. He had received death instead. Humans. Xyrax hissed the word like a curse. Tiny creatures from a tiny world. They dare to challenge us. They dare to make us look weak. His generals stood in silence. No one wanted to speak. No one wanted to attract the Imperator's anger. I will not send another vanguard, Xyrax continued. I will not give them another chance to set traps. I will bring the Grand Armada itself. 500,000 warships. I will lead them personally. And when I reach Earth, I will burn it until nothing remains but ash and memory. He turned to his commanders. His yellow eyes glowed with cold hatred. Prepare the fleet. We leave in 3 days. This will not be a conquest. This will be an extinction. On Earth. Admiral Marcus Webb received intelligence reports about the approaching armada. He read the numbers without emotion. 500,000 ships, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history, coming to destroy his world. He called Captain Chen to his office. She arrived still wearing her combat uniform, still carrying the smell of battle from Kepler's Gate. She had not slept in 2 days, but her eyes were clear, and her back was straight. Captain, Webb said, I am promoting you to the rank of Commodore. I am also assigning you to my flagship as tactical advisor. I need your mind beside me for what is coming. Chen nodded. Thank you, Admiral. What are our numbers? 80,000 ships. All that humanity has. Against 500,000. Chen did the math quickly. 6-to-1 odds. Better than Kepler's Gate. Webb almost smiled. That is what I like about you, Captain. You see opportunity where others see death. He pulled up a holographic display of the solar system. We cannot win a straight battle. We both know that. But we do not need to win. We need to make them pay such a terrible price that they will never forget it. He pointed at different positions in the solar system. Earth, the Moon, Mars, the asteroid belt, Jupiter, and its moons. We will not meet them in open space. We will use our home ground. Every planet, every moon, every rock in this system will be a fortress. We will make them fight for every inch of space. Chen studied the display. Guerrilla tactics. Hit and run. Make them chase us while we destroy them piece by piece. Exactly. We may lose Earth. We may lose everything. But we will take so many of them with us that the galaxy will never forget the name of humanity. The 3 days passed quickly. Across human space, people said goodbye to their families. Soldiers wrote letters to loved ones they might never see again. Children looked up at the stars and wondered what was coming. Then the Xyrathi arrived. They came out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. 500,000 ships. So many that they blocked out the stars. The largest invasion force in galactic history, come to destroy one small world. Admiral Webb stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Times UHS Vengeance *. Beside him was Commodore Chen. Around them, the officers of the ship worked in tense silence. "They are hailing us, Admiral," the communications officer said. "Put it on screen." The face of High Imperator Zyrax appeared. He looked at Webb with contempt, like a giant looking at an insect. "Admiral Webb," Zyrax said, "I give you one final chance. Surrender now. Kneel before me, and I will make your death quick." Webb looked at the alien face. He thought about all the species the Zyrathi had destroyed, all the civilizations erased from history, all the people who had begged for mercy and received none. "Imperator," Webb said calmly, "let me tell you a story. Thousands of years ago, on my homeworld, there was a battle at a place called Thermopylae. 300 warriors faced an army of millions. They knew they would die. They fought anyway, and their sacrifice inspired their people to rise up and defeat the invaders." He leaned forward. "Today, 80,000 human ships face your 500,000. We know the odds. We know we may die, but we will fight anyway, because that is what humans do. We do not surrender. We do not kneel. We stand and fight until our last breath." Zyrax laughed. "Brave words, foolish words. You will die screaming, human." "Maybe," Webb agreed. "But we will take enough of you with us that your empire will never recover, and the galaxy will remember. Every slave on every conquered world will hear the story of how humanity stood against the Zyrathi and made them bleed. And they will start to wonder, if the humans could fight back, why can't we?" He smiled. "You came here to destroy humanity, Imperator. Instead, you will destroy your own empire. You just don't know it yet." Webb cut the communication. He opened a channel to every ship in the human fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Webb. Today we fight for everything we are, everything we have ever been, everything we might become. The enemy wants us to kneel. They want us to break. They want to erase us from history." His voice grew stronger. "But we are human. We have survived ice ages and plagues. We have survived wars and disasters. We have crawled out of the mud and reached for the stars. And we do not give up. We do not surrender. We do not die quietly." He looked at Chen. She nodded, her eyes fierce with determination. "Today, we show the galaxy what humanity is made of. Today, we make them remember us, forever. All ships, attack." 80,000 human ships surged forward. The Battle of Sol had begun, and the universe would never be the same. The Battle of Sol was the greatest battle in galactic history. For 72 hours, human ships fought against the Zyrathi Armada. The darkness of space was filled with fire and death. Ships exploded like stars being born and dying in the same moment. Admiral Webb commanded from the bridge of the Times, Vengeance **. He had not slept since the battle began. His eyes were red with exhaustion, but his mind was sharp. He moved his fleets like pieces on a chessboard, always staying one step ahead of the enemy. Commodore Chen was everywhere at once. She coordinated attacks. She found weaknesses in enemy formations. She inspired the other captains with her courage and her calm voice on the radio. The humans fought like no species the Zyrathi had ever seen. When their ships were damaged, they did not retreat. They kept fighting. When their weapons ran out of ammunition, they rammed their vessels into enemy ships. When entire crews were killed, the last surviving officer would set the ship to self-destruct and take as many enemies as possible with them. On the third day, the Times Vengeance Times was hit by enemy fire. Admiral Webb was thrown across the bridge. He felt pain in his chest. Broken ribs. Maybe worse. He pushed himself to his feet anyway. "Status report," he demanded. "Shields are down to 15%, Admiral. Weapons are at half power. We have lost contact with 40% of the fleet." Webb looked at the display. 40% of his fleet gone. That meant over 30,000 ships destroyed, 30,000 crews, hundreds of thousands of human lives. But the Xyrathi had lost more. Much more. Over 200,000 of their ships floated dead in space. For every human ship destroyed, they had taken 5 or 6 enemies with them. The Imperator's flagship, Webb said. Where is it? Chen pointed at the display. There, Admiral. He is moving toward Earth. He wants to burn the planet himself. Webb nodded slowly. Then we stop him. All remaining ships. Focus everything on the Imperator's flagship. If he dies, their command structure falls apart. Unright. The human fleet surged toward the massive Xyrathi flagship. It was a monster of a ship, bigger than a small moon. Its weapons killed dozens of human vessels as they approached. But they kept coming. Nothing could stop them. Then the Time's Vengeance Times was hit again. This time the damage was critical. Fire spread through the ship. Hull breaches opened to space. The flagship was dying. Admiral, Chen said. We need to evacuate. Webb shook his head. No. You go. Take a shuttle. Get to another ship, and keep fighting. I will stay here. Admiral. That is an order, Commodore. Webb looked at her with tired eyes. Someone needs to survive this battle. Someone needs to tell the story. Make sure the galaxy remembers what we did here. Chen wanted to argue, but she saw the determination in his eyes. She understood. Some battles required sacrifice, she saluted. It has been an honor, Admiral. The honor was mine, Sarah. Now go. Win this war. Chen ran to the shuttle bay. Behind her, the Time's Vengeance Times made its final attack run. Admiral Webb aimed his dying ship at the Imperator's flagship and fired everything he had left. The explosion was visible from Earth. Chen watched from her shuttle as the Time's Vengeance Times died. But it did not die alone. Its final attack crippled the Imperator's flagship, destroying its main engines and half its weapons. She felt tears on her face. Then she wiped them away. There was no time for grief. The battle was not over. She commandeered a fast attack ship called the Times Defiance II*. It was smaller than her old ship, but it was fast and tough. She gathered the remaining human ships around her. All units, she broadcast. This is Commodore Chen. Admiral Webb is gone, but his sacrifice gave us a chance. The Imperator's flagship is crippled. We end this now. Follow me. What remained of the human fleet followed Chen toward the massive enemy vessel. They fought through screens of defending ships. They lost more friends, more comrades. But they did not stop. Chen's ship reached the flagship first. There was no way to destroy it from outside. It was too big, too heavily armored. Prepare boarding parties, she ordered. We go inside and kill the Imperator ourselves. Her crew looked at her like she was crazy. Maybe she was, but they followed her anyway. The boarding action was brutal. Chen led her team through burning corridors filled with smoke and bodies. Xyrathi warriors attacked them at every turn. Her people fell one by one. By the time she reached the command chamber, only Chen and 3 others remained. The doors opened. Inside stood High Imperator Xyrax, surrounded by his personal guards. He was wounded. Green blood dripped from cuts on his face, but he was still alive. Still dangerous. Human, he hissed. You are persistent. I will give you that. Chen raised her weapon. It is over, Imperator. Your fleet is broken. Your invasion has failed. Xyrax laughed, but it was a weak laugh. You have won nothing. More fleets will come. My empire will never stop until your species is extinct. Maybe, Chen admitted. But you will not live to see it. Xyrax moved faster than she expected. Even wounded, he was quick. He knocked the weapon from her hand and grabbed her throat, lifting her off the ground. Die knowing you failed, he whispered. Die knowing your species will follow. Chen could not breathe. Her vision was going dark. She felt death approaching, but she was not finished yet. With her last strength, she pulled a small pistol from her boot. A hidden weapon. Her final surprise. You first. She whispered. She fired. The Imperator's head exploded. His body collapsed. Chen fell to the floor, gasping for air. Around her, the remaining Xyrathi guards dropped their weapons. Without their leader, they had no will to fight. The battle was over. 6 months later, Commodore Sarah Chen stood before the representatives of 30 alien species. Former slaves of the Xyrathi Empire. Species that had been conquered and crushed for thousands of years. After the Imperator's death, rebellions had spread across the Empire like wildfire. Oppressed peoples rose up everywhere. The Xyrathi military, broken and leaderless, could not stop them. How? Asked a Veloci ambassador, tears in her eyes. How did you do it? You were so few against so many. Chen thought about Admiral Webb. She thought about all the brave men and women who had died fighting. She thought about the times Defiance times, and the times Vengeance times, and all the ships that would never fly again. We did it because we refused to give up, she said. We did it because some things are worth dying for. Freedom. Dignity. The right to stand on your own feet, instead of kneeling before tyrants. She looked at the assembled aliens. Species that had never known freedom. Species that were now learning to hope. The Xyrathi told us to kneel. We laughed at them. And now, their empire is falling. She smiled. The galaxy belongs to the free now. To those who are willing to stand up and fight. She raised her hand in salute. A salute to the dead. A salute to the living. Humanity showed the way. Now walk it with us. And the stars will belong to all of us. Forever. Outside the window, a new dawn was breaking across the galaxy. And humanity had led the way.